Microphone check. One, two, threes, and fours. This is the Blaze the Line podcast. This feels so weird. It's been so long. Woo! Haven't done a live broadcast in quite some time. Quite some time, since probably October. So
Wow.
it's good to be back in this space. I have to relearn bad habits and relearn good habits in this podcast space. But in any case, I am glad to be back. Hopefully, you all missed me a great deal. I won't accept a little bit, it has to be major. So, a great deal. We're starting it off like that. Indeed, indeed. Right now, we are live on YouTube at Blaze Line Podcast YouTube channel. We are also live on Facebook at Blaze Line Podcast page. Indeed, indeed. This is a new year, a new calendar year, rather. 2023. First episode of 2023. And there's a lot of hype. Maybe it's trendy, maybe it's factual, maybe it's perspective. I hear both pros and cons on this theme. So I felt what better way to embrace the theme, whether you hate it or not.
I have no
So
idea what you're talking.
I know. I go on these segues, right? But I'm
Okay.
getting there. I'm getting
Okay. Okay. I want to know what the theme is. I don't know. I want to know.
So, with all that being said, this month's theme is New Year's resolutions, mind, body, and soul. Hmm.
Hmm.
So, I hear so much talk about New Year's resolutions, and yeah, for this year, I'm going to find that man of my dreams or the woman of my dreams, or this year I'm going to take my health more serious, or I'm going to get leaner and I'm going to get abs. We got ab wars started yesterday, my
Oh,
fitness challenge group. Indeed, indeed. So my question is, hmm, where are you? Where do you exist in regards to New Year's resolutions? Hate it, love it, embrace it, shun it. We can't help, it's part of our culture. No matter where you are, in some aspects, there's talk about New Year's resolutions. But I wanted to take it deeper and really focus on the mind, body, and the soul. For those are important components, I feel, of New Year's resolutions. And with that said, well, for tonight's guest to kick off the first episode of 2023, I wanted to bring someone on the pod who had similarities to myself. Someone who is weird.
weird.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Weirdos
That's a
rule the
word.
world.
That's a word.
Yeah,
I'm here
yeah.
for it.
Okay. uh, Someone who is purposeful in her intentions. Someone who is not swayed easily by the judgments of others or society. Someone who is powerful. Someone who is a creative. Someone who is bold, who is courageous. Someone who has an intense look. And you're not sure if she's, hmm,
This is a lot of. These are a lot of adjectives.
yeah, this is what I do. I'm very long winded in my introduction.
Listen, I'm here for it.
Yeah, the way how spirit guides me, sometimes it's short, sometimes it's 3 pages, but we get to it. We get to it. This is somebody who is an artist, a passionate singer, uh, a fellow podcaster as well. And before I get a text from Miss Chambers, introducing tonight's guest for what episode is? I think this is episode 84.
84.
84.
Wow.
I'm going to go with that number.
I like that number.
Introducing tonight's guest for episode 84, none other than Michelle Moore. Welcome to the pod.
Hello, hello, hello. Hooty hoo.
How are you? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am. See, I already told you she's gonna text me. So long, too long. I know. I know. You love it though. All right. So, welcome. How have you been?
I've been very well. I've just been, living and enjoying and maintaining and, you know, welcoming,
Welcome.
accepting, allowing, all that stuff.
What are you welcoming?
Whatever's meant for me. I
Mm.
and I take it all.
What are you
I don't
allowing?
reject. I allow it all. I don't reject anything. There is the belief or the want to look at things from a good, bad, right, or wrong aspect, but I do not look at things in such way.
Mm.
Everything that I do, everything that happens in my life is purposeful and it is for intention. And so I look at it like that. That keeps me out of the realm of feeling like a victim to anything, um, or believing that I am above anything.
Mm.
Um, and so I can look at everything and accept everything and allow everything as it's meant to happen because it just is. So um, it's so liberating. It's very liberating to live that way, and it took a while to finally to really understand that and exist in that, because so many of us from the experience, the collective of everyone is just everybody's just trying to be the best version that they can be of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time not realizing that where they are is exactly where they're supposed to be, and so they're always seeking something more, something better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeking anything. I'm just enjoying it moment to moment, and it's great. It's great. Even when there's a death in my family,
Mm-hmm.
I allow myself the time to be in that space, and it's a movie for me. I'm living in my own movie, so I can't see
Mm-hmm.
the script. You know what I mean? I don't know the next line. I don't know the next scene. And so when it comes, I can't stop and say, "Oh, I don't want this. I don't want this scene." I just have to fall in and this is where I'm at and it won't be forever. It'll change just as nature changes. I will change. Things will change.
What would you rate my biceps on a scale from 1 to 10? Don't answer that. All right.
I wasn't
So
going to.
good, good, good. All right. So with all that said, I know people are really intrigued. Like, who is this woman? I really want to know more. So before we go any further, share with the people a little bit about yourself.
Um, well, I am a singer, songwriter. I'm an artist, and I'm also an actor. I went to school for musical theater, and I had a theater company for a while. Back in the early 2000s, I started a theater company, and I had that for about 5 years. And then during that time, I was offered the opportunity to sing in the studio and write. And I never wrote before. I wasn't interested in songwriting. I actually despised it. Turns
Mm.
out I was actually really good at it. I played trumpet for about 11 years and piano. So I played a lot of different instruments. So it lent itself to writing music. And before I knew it, it was 20 plus years later,
Mm.
and I had done the entire journey of touring, being signed to a label, writing and recording my own music, um, uh, having a band, being in a band. You name it, I did it. And then shortly after that, I recently had just finished writing a book about my life, and I started writing a movie.
Mm.
And I've been working on those things quietly, privately. But it's an extensive thing to do, and to also try to sum it all up as I am 41. So it's I've done a lot of things. During that time, though, I had an awakening, a spiritual awakening, and I began studying Reiki healing, and then I realized I had clairvoyance, and then I became a light coach, and it just kind of started to develop from there. And the way that my life has gone, it's just it's just chapters. So like I
Hmm.
said, I just allow things to happen and I move with it, and I've done some really amazing things. I've seen some really amazing things, and I've also experienced amazing heartbreak and incredible pain. Um, so it just depends on what day you ask me what I want to speak about or reference or go back to. And
Mm.
um, but my life has been really, really beautiful and really amazing, and I feel very thankful to have come out on this side of it, loving myself more and being appreciative of everything that I've experienced. And nothing is good, nothing is bad. Everything was just for me. And you know,
Yeah.
that's the only way that I can explain it or introduce myself. Even Tamiko had asked me, she said, "Oh, we need a bio." I was like, "I really hate bios. I hate writing bios. I don't just tell them what I do. I don't know. I don't want to write a bio. I just finished writing a book about my life. I don't want to write any more things about myself." But yes, I have done a lot of things, and I've spent the last 3 or 4 years really digging deeper into myself,
Mm.
and sitting and vowing to always choose myself first. um and that can seem, in that other world, that can seem very, it's all about
Selfish.
me.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't believe in that word. So it's all about me.
What
Everything
in the
is for
world?
me.
What
We
in the
good?
world? Yeah, getting some crazy comments on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I
All right.
can't see anything.
Yeah, you don't want to see.
I'm used to the crazy comments. Um, yeah, so I believe that everyone should be looking at it from a scope of themselves, how to get the most from themselves, how to how to take the messages and turn those into messages of growth for themselves. So when I speak, I listen to myself. I hear myself speak, and I wait for the moment of clarity. I listen to
Mm.
myself so that I can get my own clarity as well.
Mm.
Uh, and also when I'm speaking to other people, sometimes you're just having a conversation and you don't realize, wait, this is actually fruitful. This is food for my soul as well, as opposed to just telling a story. And I try to tell my clients that as well. I share that with them is when they come to me and they want to tell me about their lives and they want to explain to me what they've been going through and how hard it's been. And I ask them, are you listening to yourself?
Mm.
Are you listening to what you're saying and how you're speaking?
Hmm.
Maybe you need to work on telling your story differently so that you can empower yourself, because no one else is going to be able, I can't fix anything for you. I
Yeah,
can just I all I can do is redirect you to look at it from a different perspective.
that part.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I've had clients that have problems with their parents, and then they all of a sudden they have an awakening, and their life is better, and they feel so much better. And then my question is, okay, have your parents changed?
Right.
Oh no, but you're
You
good
did.
though.
Yeah.
But you're good though, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter how other people are responding or acting, or it's more about how am I allowing that to affect me? How much power am I giving other people?
Mm.
And when you realize it's all about you and your power, you can be in any space, anytime, anywhere, any place, and never falter. So I'm pretty sure I ran off somewhere. I'm not sure where I ran off to,
Yeah, you ran off on the plug, but it's all good.
but
What you said quite a few powerful quotes right there. that I'm gonna allow to marinate in our listeners as well as in my head. I want to take it back to the beginning a little bit and just get your views on New Year's resolutions. What do they mean to oneself at this current
Well,
moment?
I do believe in time and space and planets, the way planets move. And so every year, every month, every day that goes by, every full moon and new moon is a transition,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. Um, and that's active. That's activity of the earth. In terms of New Year's resolutions, in the way that it's been cultivated and expressed on here on Earth between the humans is it's very interesting.
I love it. I love it.
It's very interesting because I really don't believe that we're not meant to look at our lives from the scope of how can we fix things.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really what we're here for. I don't believe that. I believe that we are here to just exist in a space and then we die, and that's pretty much it. And the thought of New Year's resolution for me is, well, I'm just gonna love me more. That's every year. How much more can I love myself? How much more can I be there for myself? How much more can I gain? Um, but if we're looking at it from the space of time, I do that every day. I do that every
Yeah.
second. So
Yeah.
New Year's Day is just another day for me. But goals is another thing. I don't have goals. I don't plan things in that way. I just like to exist in the space that whatever I'm doing, I'm meant to be doing. And if I have an idea, as soon as I bring it to my mind, it's there, it's alive, and I don't need to drown it with things that I think are going to make it grow.
Mm.
And I use the analogy of like of a plant. You overwater a plant, you're gonna kill it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, people who have house plants forget that there are plants outside that no one's tending to.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole world outside of nature that no one is tending to. It's just it collects the rain when it collects the rain, and when it's meant to die off, it dies.
Mm.
And I've died many deaths.
Mm.
As you know, we do that. We go through our spaces and our phases in life, and sometimes you're not meant to water the thing that's trying to die,
Yeah.
because you're supposed to rebirth, it's reborn. And so for New Year's resolutions, I think for me it's more of the grand scope of where am I today, as opposed to what I want to do for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a heavy load, and that's not something that I have any control over. What I do have control over, though, is how I look at myself presently, and what I'm doing, and making sure that my intention in the present moment is authentic to myself. And so if I'm working, if I decide that I want to create something, I'm in it. I'm in it and I'm living in it. I'm not shaming myself for not finishing it. I'm not guilting myself for not starting it. So my idea of New Year's resolution might not really make sense to people who are meticulously trying to plan and order, and I've always gotten what I've wanted. I always have, because I am diligent in trusting my process, trusting the process. So I would say everyone's New Year's resolution would be to let go and just trust the process
Mm.
without trying to manipulate it, mind fuck it to death. And
Right.
it's there's no need. Everybody wants to be where they're not. Everybody wants to be somewhere else than where they are, and without appreciating where they actually are. So how do you know when you get there you're going to appreciate it if you can't appreciate where you are right
Where you
now?
currently are. Yeah. I was listening to something. I listen a lot to the law of attraction and Abraham Hicks and
Mhm.
different things like that. And in majority of those videos and in those books, they tell you the way to truly be happy, the way to get the manifestation of whatever you have had your mind on or whatever is two things: is to desire that thing or that season or whatever it is while being happy where you currently are.
Absolutely. That's the power and the magic of that magnetic force that we have.
Yeah.
Um, and that again, I'm speaking from a realm that is usually shunned
Mm.
in the world that we're conditioned and programmed to live in. When you start speaking like that, you sound crazy. You sound weird. You
Hey.
you sound crazy, and I'll be that. I'll be that all day because I'm not here to make anyone else comfortable or I'm okay with people misunderstanding me all day because I understand myself. I have
Mm.
empathy and love for everyone who's on a journey because I too once looked at things from that realm of, well, that's a little bit strange. But when you have your own awakening, whatever that looks like for you, you're speaking from it's your own show. It's your own book, your own Bible. It's yours. So whether or not someone else gets it, your understanding is all you need to move through your life.
Yeah.
So I don't need to judge anyone. And if someone wants to judge me, that's perfectly fine with me because, again, it's okay if you misunderstand me. Sometimes I'm meant to be understood or misunderstood in other people's lives. I'm meant to be the villain in someone's life. I'm okay with that as well. But it's that person's perception of me, and I can't change people's perception of me. So once you start letting those things go, you start to realize that holidays, birthdays, your job, and these are just simulations of things that we're programmed to exist in, and you can still exist in it, but you don't have to be of it. You can be in it, but you don't have to consume it in that way.
Mm.
Um, and it's a difficult thing to do at first because the power is in what you say, how you speak, the words that you speak.
Yeah.
um, and we were speaking about this earlier before we went live is what do you define as these things, because a lot of the words that you're using to define the thing that you're saying, they're not even your definitions.
Mm.
They're the definitions of the outside world, and you nurse those into your world, and then all of a sudden you say things like, well, I don't want to be broke. Well, define broke. What's broke? Why do you think that you're broke? Who says that? You're the only one that's saying that. Or are you comparing yourself to something?
Mm.
And as soon as we start comparing ourselves to something else, the goal becomes that much more difficult,
Mm.
because then we're not existing in the presence of our lives. We're existing in the presence of someone else's lives that we're trying to attain, instead of accepting that it might look different. It's going to look different.
Yeah.
And you've never been there before. And you're already rejecting it because
Mm.
you're trying to manipulate it into something that it's not trying to be.
Mm.
It's just for you. It's meant just solely for you. So if you're teaching right now and you're trying to, like you said, you were juggling all of these things, that's part of your story.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the vision that you have for yourself isn't going to come true. It just means that that's going to be part of the story when it does come, that you tell, I had to do this. I was doing all of these things. And when you look back, a lot of times when you tell those stories, you realize, man, I wasn't even appreciating it. I don't appreciate it until now.
Yeah. Yeah. Every season that I've been through, it's hard in the current season to appreciate where you are, right? Because we keep looking towards the future and
Hmm.
all this. But then when I look back, I say, man, even though I was stressed in that season, and even though this other season didn't go as I wanted to, they were necessary.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's very much the same as if you look at a baby is eventually going to grow. The baby is going to speak, walk, or their motor skills will get better. And a toddler, an infant, isn't focused on how they're walking. They just flail all over the place. They just,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? They're trusting that everything's going to be okay. And when it's not okay, they just cry. That's it. And then they get over it and they move on.
Mm.
and and it's a testament to how resilient and children are. And I love children because they have no inhibitions. You tell a child to bark like a dog, child barks like a dog immediately. You tell an adult to bark like a dog, they're looking around to see who's looking at them. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we're bred to be concerned of what people think about you. You want to
Yeah.
be nice. And I tell people all the time, I'm not a nice person and I don't aim to be nice. That's if I'm nice, I'm neglecting myself so that I can appease other people. And I don't do that. But I'm kind.
What if you're nice on the mic?
Well,
Right.
then you got to do it right.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, so
I
that's
love it. I love it. Um, Going to mind, body, and soul. Are they separate? Are they one?
I do I I do believe that they work in harmony together,
Mm-hmm.
but they are definitely separate. They are definitely separate, and they're meant to work in harmony together. The mind lies to you.
Hmm.
So, if you haven't mastered your mind, it'll lie to you. It'll tell you you will live in fantasies that aren't real, and that's when people project. Well, I feel like you did this. No, you thought. You
Hmm.
didn't feel, because if you were feeling, a feeling is personal. It's personal for me. If I feel a certain way, I'm living in the feeling. Feeling is not something that I can actually, it's not actually something that I need to share with someone. You don't need to share your feelings. People want you to share your feelings. So basically the mind is filtering. It's filtering out the feelings, because I couldn't really actively try to express my feelings. I could filter it and let my mind do, but I can't express my feelings to the point where you can feel the feeling. You
Hmm.
just understand what I'm saying.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it. So most of the time when you ask people how they feel, they think first. They
Yeah.
think they think about it.
Yeah.
And there's this thing in acting where you're in the moment. You let the breath drop in and you allow yourself to feel and overcome and let it wash over you with no thought. That's why some of the best scenes have very little dialogue, because it's all about the energy exchange of really letting something sink in. Because there's a difference between me saying to you, Blaze, I'm really upset with you, and then me just looking at you and
Hmm.
you being able to feel that. And there's this, it's like this
Why'd I
secret.
feel that? I felt like he was upset.
It's like this secret angel language that happens between our souls, but you have to be connected to yourself first before you can sense that in other people. And a lot of reasons why I'm able to read people the way that I am, that way that I do, is because I'm in tune with myself and I'm very
Mm-hmm.
honest with myself about who I am, where I am, and how I'm feeling. I'm never offended. You can't offend me. My feelings cannot be hurt, because I go through that filter. I'm allowing someone to hurt my feelings,
Right.
right? It's true. It's true. It's, well, this person said this. Well, is it true? No, it's not true. So then why are you giving it energy? If
Hmm.
you make it true. It has to filter through you first before it can get to your mind or your heart or your spirit. You're the filter. So if you feel a certain way, you have to ask yourself, is this true? And that's why I'm feeling this? Or am I allowing someone to have power over me? Because I don't really believe that this is true. And if it is true, then you go home to yourself. So when someone says something to me and it pinches me a little bit, I don't project back. I check in with myself because I'm like, oh, damn, they hit a nerve.
Hmm.
That means that something must be going on inside of me
Right.
without looking at them as you're a bad person because you made me feel this way. No, I go into the depths of why I feel that way alone. I don't bring anybody in there with me. It's my house.
So what does that look like?
What does what look like?
That process of you filtering, that process of you being alone with yourself.
You have to
So a sneak peek.
sometimes it's hibernation. So in the beginning stages of realizing that you have that kind of power to master, that self mastery, sometimes you go into hibernation for, you can go for months, for years. I know for me it took me like 2 years for me to like quiet myself down and come back to myself every single time. It was hard. I did a lot of crying. I did a lot of wondering and second guessing and of my own feelings. And then when you start to become better at understanding yourself, there's this self mastery that takes over, and you could do it in a split second.
Mm.
So as soon as I feel my nervous system, and this is where the body comes in, the body is messaging you. It's sending you messages, sending you signals. So when someone says, "I'm not upset," well, your eyebrows say so. Your eyebrows say that you are. That wrinkle in
Right.
your forehead says that you are. Your breath pattern tells me that you're upset,
Yeah.
right? You want me to assist you in something that I'm telling you right now, you're clearly upset. I'm not upset. Well, then you're not listening to your body because your body is telling you otherwise. You're getting nervous. I'm pretty sure if I put my hand on your heart, it's racing. So what does that mean to you? I can't help you with that, though. I might have triggered something, yes, but I always use analogies. So I always say things like it's your house. So if you come to my house, Blaze, if you come to my house, when you come into my house, it's going to be tidy. I'm going to say, oh, you can go in there, you can go in there, and then there might be doors where I'm like, oh no, you can't go in there, it's not clean yet. I haven't cleaned that house. I haven't cleaned that part of the house yet. That's my spiritual awareness of myself, is saying, I don't want anybody going in there. So I don't want to speak about that. And this is where boundaries come in. You have to really know where you're at. And you have to also understand that it's no one else's job to assist you in that either.
Mm.
So if it's your house, you got to clean your house, and don't be inviting people over to your house if you don't know what the house looks like, because
Mm.
somebody might come into your house and tell you about yourself and
Mm.
tell you where the couch belongs and that the dishes are dirty in the sink or they're not actually clean, and you might not like that.
Mm. Mm.
So you have to really, and that's where that certainty comes in. I don't believe in the word confidence. I think it's this word that tells you that you have to try to be something, and I'm saying all you have to do is be yourself. If you're
Yeah.
yourself, you're an original, but you have
Yeah.
to know who you are, and you have to be stand in your convictions, because let me tell you something, there are a lot of people that believe they have these convictions, and someone comes in and all of a sudden their convictions start shaking, and I'm saying maybe you're not as convicted as you thought you were, because
Mm.
can nobody move me. No one can move me. And if you move me, then I got to check in with myself, because I'm like, oh, maybe I'm learning something different right now. Maybe I thought I knew something about myself and so it's easier to have conversation. It's easier to share. It's easier to grow. You're not getting offended. You're actually listening. Blaze can say, hey, Michelle, you talk a lot right now. You're talking a lot right now. And I'd be like, damn, I am. But I'm all right with that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The self-awareness.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is not to judge anybody, because I've done it myself. um, where you have people who they rebound, right? They jump from one relationship and they go right into a next one and right into a next one,
Mhm.
and their perspective may be, well, this is different, right? And someone from the outside looking might be like, okay, so at what point are you going to heal? At what point are you going to sit with yourself? Do
Mhm.
you even like yourself?
Mhm.
Are you just trying to be like in the company of others to feel good? So I'm huge on being alone, on finding, on making, not finding.
Mhm.
I'm making time um, to to sit with yourself, and whatever that means to you, to the individual. We all have our own things.
Mhm.
Oh no.
Did he freeze? Oh no. Did he freeze? Are we frozen? God. It was getting so good. Let me see. Did we Is he frozen? Am I alone? Am I alone? Hello?
You hear me?
Oh, wait, wait. Okay, wait. Okay. Oh. Okay, bye. Bye. Wait, wait. Okay, wait. I hear you.
Hello there.
Okay, bye. Bye.
you
Okay, we're good. We're back. I was like, am I alone?
are. I left you alone.
That's okay. I'm always alone.
I left you alone for a time to recenter. Yeah, my
It's funny that you said that. You see how spirit works? We were
yeah,
talking about oneness and being alone.
yeah.
I wanted to reference what you said. You said that looking at other people and how they still dive in and dive out of relationships, and it's funny because I observation is is the most important thing for myself. Is I
Hmm.
observe myself. So because I observe people, I observe myself, I'm always observing other people. And so who you are is what you reflect.
Hmm.
And there has it's always been this. The setup is either you like me or you don't. Okay? And I don't like or don't like anyone. I'm fine with everyone because I look at people from a scope of you're on a journey and I empathize with your journey. And I don't have any involvement in your journey other than myself. And so when I recognize that myself has nothing to do with the situation, I am able to look at it from an aerial view and look at you as a separate being from myself. So someone who's going in and out, I look at it from the aspect of, oh, they're on a journey. They're on a journey, and I don't know what they're doing or not doing, or if they need to be doing something. I don't. You got to pay me if you want those kind of answers. I can't really decide for someone else what they should or shouldn't be doing. So when I have clients that come and they say, you know, I it's, I just I have this job, and then, sometime I was in a relationship and I knew that it was a bad relationship, and I said, "Well, what made it a bad relationship?" Well, because he was bad for me, or she lied, or whatever happened. And I asked him, "How can you tell yourself that story differently so that it works in your favor?"
Mm.
Because you're looking at it from the scope that your life has to look a certain way. And I'm saying to you right now, what if you needed that? That's why it was there. So how can you process that as a victory instead of being a victim to it? So you were meant to be in that relationship. You were meant to be wishy-washy. You were meant to. So there's no point in shaming yourself or guilting yourself into trying to, because the underlayer of all of this is that as much as people try not to box themselves in, they're still boxing themselves in,
Mm.
because they're assessing what's already happened. Why are you looking back at what's already happened? It's happened. You're supposed to be here. So, and you got here after that. So you were meant to take that journey so that you could get here. So focus on here. Don't start trying to assess what you were doing before and, oh, I made a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. You don't make any mistakes. There are only lessons. You're not wrong. I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong. Either I know what I'm talking about, or I don't. And if I don't, then it's a lesson. So
Mm.
how can I be wrong about something that I didn't know before? You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying? You got to live through that scope of, I took this job, I dated this person, I did this thing, and then you're assessing it. And when you assess it, you say, "Oh, it was bad. It was a bad relationship. It was a bad." And I'm saying, "But there was a lesson in it for you, right?" No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course there's a lesson in it. That's the beauty of spirituality. There's a lesson in everything. So how can you make such a grand, broad statement such as, this was a waste of my time? Nothing's a waste of your time. You're not that special. I
Mm.
promise you, we're all
Mm.
going to die. So if you understand that concept, then you can live your life as, oh, this is just the timeline of my life. Now it's over. I go through a breakup. I was married, and then we separated. We're still friends, but when we separated, oh, it's so hard. Yeah, I feel sad, but I'm happy because I lived that life, and now that is over. Now it's time for me to do something else. And I don't have any regrets, because what is meant for me is meant for me. So if it's meant to blow up in my face, then I accept that, because I learned a lot in my marriage. I gained a lot from my marriage. I have a great friend in my ex-husband. I have a great friend in the last person that I was seeing. I have a great friend in that person, even though the way it ended was very strange. And I can say that at the time, this is strange, but now I'm like, maybe he needed to do that. That was
Mm.
part of his journey, and I was just a passerby. So
Mm.
sometimes you just end up being the subject in someone's journey. So you can't feel so self-righteous that it shouldn't have happened like that. Sometimes people just leave. And it
Mm.
doesn't mean that you're horrible, or it doesn't mean that, it just means that they left. That's it. You're putting more into it. And as soon as, that's why I
I
said,
mean, that's not easy though.
life's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Life is not, what I'm saying is, basically, the fact is, you're making up the story. So if you're making up the story and you say, because people will speculate, oh, this person, this happened, and then they move on, you're meant to move on from it, but instead you sit there and you're like, I'm going to take this with me so I could retell it, so I could renegotiate what's going on, so I could speculate what I think might have happened. Meanwhile, the thing is dead. It's gone. You're the only person that's keeping it alive. And so while you're spending all that energy keeping it alive, life is passing you by.
Yeah.
That's it. And what do you get from that? Nothing.
Mm.
All you get is just a constant repeat. And that's where people repeat their patterns. and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and they end up living the same year 50 times over.
Mm,
So by the time they're 50 years old, it's like they're still 16 in high school because they never
mm,
grew out of that. So you have to understand life is meant for our growth. And when you grow, guess what? Things die off. When a tree grows, leaves fall. They die off. That's a part of nature.
yeah.
We're the only species that have an issue when things die off.
Mm.
Every other species, like even babies, we start off that way. We start off that way, but then we start going to school, and school starts telling us how we're supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like. And that is where the programming starts.
Yeah. Megan, who is Megan?
That is my
And who is she gonna fight? Or who does she want to fight?
she
I'm
always
lost here.
she always ready to fight somebody. That is my my friend and my co-partner in No Lies Detected. She's the
Ah.
other podcaster in that. Yeah.
So who's she trying to fight?
I was talking about somebody specific when I said the last person
Ah.
I was messing with.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Easy, Megan. Easy. Easy.
She's a
All right.
Scorpio. She got fangs.
I was like, wait a minute, what? Like, where are we going?
Yeah, so those are the things that when you start looking, and it's not like I said, we're not all here to be healers.
Mm,
We're not. Everybody has their a purpose, and
yeah.
this is my purpose, and you shouldn't compare my purpose to your life. So it's hard. If you say it's hard, that's hard. That's hard to do. That's hard. Maybe it's not meant for you to do. Maybe it's meant for you to do something else. But you don't have to live it like me. You don't have to live like me. All you have to do is do you.
Miss Chambers, you're sorry. You're not jumping in. I don't know who we're fighting,
What happened?
but I'm reading the comments.
Oh my days.
So Tamiko is jumping in saying she's gonna fight whoever
Okay, Tamiko
that
knows too.
Megan's gonna fight. All right,
They
can
both
we?
know.
All right. Tamiko, can you stay home? Let's not do that. Okay.
I'm not on YouTube. I'm not, so I can't see what everybody is writing.
Oh, you can't see the comments?
No, I can't. Should I?
No?
Oh, I
They're
see it now.
pretty
Oh, there it
interesting.
is. Oh, okay. I see it now. I didn't see it before.
Can
Oh
we
yeah,
all just get along?
no,
Huh?
no, listen. We here, let them be over there. They doing their thing. We doing
Yeah,
our thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So essentially that's kind of how I exist in my space. And I don't try to control anything. I'm just kind of like, that's what it is. This person's doesn't it rile you up that this person, not at all. That someone else's crisis will never be my crisis, and I say that constantly. Your crisis will never be my crisis, even when the crisis involves me. Even when you're finding me the problem, it's still not my problem. That's your problem.
Have you always thought this way, or was there some
Oh,
realization or awakening, or?
I did have an awakening. I was always that way professionally.
Mm,
Personally, I couldn't grasp it that way, especially intimately. In relationships, I found myself shrinking, constantly shrinking
mm,
to fit so that I didn't offend, so that I didn't hurt, so that I made sure that they knew I still cared. And then I realized, wait a minute, that's not my job.
yeah,
I should be able to be all of who I am fully. And then you can decide if that works for you or not. And either way, I'm still going to be here, though, being me. And I don't make any apologies for that. And so that journey started when I was 36.
okay,
That journey started when I was 36. And it wasn't too difficult for me to kind of really fall into, because like I said, professionally, I was already there. Professionally,
yeah,
I was signed to a label for years, and I was not I was the golden goose, but also everyone hated the fact that I was unmoved. as well,
Mm.
because I knew what I did wasn't going to do, and I stood firm in that. Um, so personally, when I started to see that I wasn't actually meeting myself in those same spaces for myself on a personal, intimate level,
Hmm.
I had to change. I just knew I had to change because I was depressed. I was severely depressed,
Hmm.
and then after shortly after I moved back to LA, I just before the pandemic, I saw a suicide. So that stirred up more trauma from myself.
What do you mean you saw suicide?
So, and the building that I lived in, I went to bed, and there was a the window, the head of my bed was by the window, and someone jumped from the top of my building
Uh,
and landed on my balcony by my head, and I saw it. And I'm because of my childhood um, abuse, and I know I'm very good at dissociating. So it happened. My whole apartment shook. It was very violent, and I turned over and I went to bed because I was like, I'm not dealing with that. That's not my business. Even though it was on my porch, and it wasn't until the next day that I realized, because I had forgotten that it even happened. I woke up the next morning and I completely forgot.
wow.
And it's funny because when I told my friend, he was like, "Man, that's gangster," and I'm like, "No, that's dissociative disorder. That's what that
You're
is."
like, man, I need this rest.
and I
Huh.
I ended up calling a friend of mine, and then basically she had to tell me, because I started to open the shades and I realized, wait, I think someone's out there. Turns out someone was out there. Long story short, I had to literally leave. I just left because the addition to that, the icing to that, was I wasn't getting any assistance from the property management where I lived. So it was just basically it's not our fault he jumped, and they weren't helpful at all, and my whole entire apartment became a crime scene.
Mm.
After that moment, that was in 2020. That was at the top of 2020, January 10th. Oh my goodness. Today's
Hey,
January 10th.
yes, it is.
Mhm.
This is weird.
It's not weird. It's not weird at all. I love when that happens. January 10th, 2020. So exactly 3 years ago today. And three
Yeah.
is triangle. There's points. Yeah, that makes sense that I would be. Yeah,
Hmm.
this makes sense. So,
Hmm.
so when these things happen, I move with the numerology and stuff like that. I
Hmm.
welcome. These are the messages, because now my body is warm and I'm like, oh, it's complete. But
Mm.
basically, when that happened, it shifted me a great deal. It shifted me a great deal. And I saw a therapist again, and I don't know how I felt. I felt like I should be more sad than I was.
Hmm.
And she helped me understand that traumas can trigger someone else's trauma, can trigger your own traumas, especially if it's violent. And I remember the day that the police came and everything, and I called a family member, and she said, "You need to go out there and see if he's okay." I said, "I'm not doing that. Don't put that on me." That person did exactly what they wanted to do, and I'm not going to further my trauma by going out to save their life. And I think that's a lot of times what we do in life. I started to realize certain things about myself, aspects of myself that I actually really always loved, but I allowed other people to shame me for it because they believed that I was too harsh or that I was cold. But I was always a big soldier for myself in protecting myself and protecting my mind and my body and my soul. So if I make a decision for myself, I'm not trying to be anyone's superhero. That's not my ministry.
Hmm.
My purpose is to live my life, not to save someone else's life. That's not my purpose. And in living my life, I've actually helped to save other people in their life by just walking in my purpose. So that's my journey. I can't really speak for other people, but I don't set out to help people. Even the clients that I have, I always tell them, listen, I'm always going to give you back the ball because I can't give you the answers. You have the answers. All I'm going to do is walk you to the door, but
Yeah.
you have to get the key and you have to unlock that bitch. I can't do it. I've already done that for myself and I'm done. So whatever is for me is for my learning, my blessings, and I'm not going to involve you and I don't want to be involved in yours. But I honor that you're a human being on a journey and I respect that.
Yeah.
So if I can do that, me, I can still respect that. So when people have to walk out of my life, I respect it. I have to because that's the message is clear. This person no longer belongs in this movie script. They have to leave. All right. So, and if I hold on, all I'm doing is delaying what's supposed to be coming in. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So if you want to
Yeah.
fire me, if you want to leave me, whatever, all right, bye. I'm excited for what's coming next. And
Mm.
I also go through the process of feeling my feelings, but I don't ever look at that person as they're horrible. I don't wish them any, I wish everyone well. I wish you well. And I hope you find what you're looking for because clearly it was not here and it was here for a moment and now it's elsewhere. But that's not my journey. That's your journey. So seeing that suicide really awakened me to a lot of things that I started to realize like, oh, everybody just out here trying to save everybody. And I realized, wait a minute.
She
I
don't want
don't
to be saved. Oh.
I don't need anyone to save me. I can save myself. And so if I can save myself, I only want to be surrounded by other people who too are only interested in saving themselves. So if you're a person that's always looking to be the victim, you're not going to like me. You're not going to like me because you're going to believe that I am rude, that I'm cold, that but anybody who knows me, anyone who has experienced me fully knows that I am far from that. But if that's what you believe, then that's your truth. And I'm okay. Like I said, I'm okay with being the villain. If that's what you think of me, that's fine with me. I know who I am. So, and
Mm.
I think the idea is most people are trying to convince people who they're not. And I just not.
Mm.
That's a waste of energy.
Trying to convince people who they're not.
Hmm. That's never anyone's ministry. Is to convince people. I
That's
mean, if you,
tiring.
it is, it's very tiring. I say that sometimes. I'm like, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of trying to prove to people who you're not all the time? Why don't you just stick with people who get you?
Mm.
Just stick with people who understand who you are. And the first person who needs to understand is you,
Yeah.
because you're the master. No one is
Mm-hmm.
like you.
Mm-hmm.
There is no one else like you. So if that's the case, and you know that's the case, and there are other people that'll say, "Oh, that's selfish," or "You're conceited," them's ain't your people. Because the same way I uplift myself, I uplift all my friends, all my family in the same way. And when they start talking down on themselves, I'm like, "What are you doing? Why are you speaking that way about yourself?" Because sometimes you need that reminder.
Yeah.
You do. I don't coddle people. Oh, he left me. Okay. And how do you feel about that? I just can't believe that he left. Well,
He did.
what he did. That's the reality. So what is it that you believe is true about yourself because of that? Does that change who you are, who you think you are?
Mm.
Well, no. Okay, so then what's the problem? That person is on a journey. So the hurt that you feel is what is the idea of who you thought that person was going to be in your life from the story you built up.
Yeah.
That's why you're hurt.
Yeah.
And that's why people mostly aren't living in the present. But if you're living with the present, you just let things come and go as ebb and flow, ebb and flow. But if you're holding on or you've built something in your mind and you think it's supposed to look like something, then yeah, when it falls, you're going to be like, what the fuck happened? But you're the only one building and living in that story. And then what you do is you hold people hostage to that story and
To
they
that
haven't even
story.
signed up to that,
Yeah.
you know? Once you start living from that space, everything's a piece of cake.
Hmm.
You lose your job, it's like, all right, what, you really think you're not going to get another job? Of course you will. Of
Yeah.
course you will. So then what's the problem?
That chapter is done.
Right, it's done. And the thing is that, as listen to this, Blaze, as much as you struggled in your life, you've always been okay though, right? You've always been okay because you're here.
Always.
So there's
More
no
than okay.
right. So every time you come into an obstacle, you can look like, you know what? I'm safe. I'm still safe. This is just a moment.
And we overthink. So
Yeah.
our overthinking makes it even worse, or it appears to be even worse than it really is. And then it happens, and we're like, oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, I did sweat a little bit, but I'm not drenched in sweat.
Right.
Ah, okay.
Yes. And then when you do that, you can look at yourself in like in lightness, literally like you're the light, and also in terms of weight, like very laughing at yourself. You know, when people call you out, it's like, you know, when my friends call me out or when they say something that I'm not aware of, I always thank them. I thank you for seeing me. You know, so thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah.
Or I'm happy to be seen. If I already know that about myself, I say thank you. I'm happy to be seen. I love being seen. So you can't offend me. So
I love being seen.
me too.
Yeah.
I love being seen. Because that's love. That's true love. Love is not something that can be administered. You know, my love looks like I believe in the power of you.
Hmm.
And if you don't believe in your own power, you're going to believe that I'm just shooing you off. But I'm not. I'm saying, you got this. I know you could do this. I know you, and I also know you're going through something, and I'm here for you feeling your feelings and going through whatever you need to go through. I'm here for that too, because I know that is something that you need to do. But I also know that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world sees that as, well, that means that's not a good friend, because that person is just, it's, what do they call it? Toxic. If I hear someone say toxic, the word toxic one more time, but toxic positivity, that people are just using phrases and words and they really don't know what these things mean.
Toxic positivity.
Mhm.
How is
That's what
that?
that's what the internets call it. Apparently, apparently it's when you look at the bright side of things in moments of
And you should be comforting the person, or
right, when you should be comforting the person, or
crying with the person.
right, or are not allowing yourself to understand the person because you don't want to go there.
Hmm.
And there's a difference of what that feels like, because what I'm doing is not that. I'm here for feelings. I want all the feelings. Give me all your feelings. I'm making everybody cry. I want you to cry. But I also know that your tears are what open you up to your strength. And I can see that. And I'm excited for you at the same time, because I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I refuse to feel sorry for you, because I know that all you need is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need me to make you feel better. You think you do, but you don't. But I'm going to be here while you're on this journey, because I choose to be here on this journey and watching you on this journey. But I am, again, your crisis will never be your crisis. So when someone passes away in your family, I got nothing but empathy. But my life goes on. I feel fine. I'm fine. I don't need to feel sad because you feel sad. That's not how partnership works.
Mm.
Your partner is sad, now you're sad too. That's not how partnership works. It's the safe space, it's the openness, the open space for that your partner to be exactly who they are when they need to. And for you to be exactly who you are when you need to without believing you got to tiptoe or walk on eggshells because I don't want to be too sad because then I'm making everybody else sad. Fuck that. Be as sad as you want to be. That's not going to affect me.
Mm.
It's not going to affect me, but I grant you all the space to be as sad as you need because you know what? I love you, not because you're happy all the time. I love you because you're you. That's why I love you. So however you need to show up, that's how you have to show up. And even if you project on me, I could take that too. I don't see it as abusive because I stand in my own power and I have boundaries. So if someone, for instance, wants to leave my space, you can leave. But if the way that you leave is less than what I have been, then I might have to say, listen, if you expect this friendship to continue, you can't do it like this next time
Mm.
because I deserve more than that. I respect why you're doing it, but you can't do it like that. And if that's a problem for you, I get that too. That's totally fine. Maybe it's not meant to be, but you can't do that like that here with me. I don't appreciate that. And then you can decide if that works for you or not.
Right.
But I'm not begging for nobody's friendship. If you think that you need to go, you should go because I'm not changing. I'm not going to change and shrink myself to make you feel comfortable about doing what you want to do whenever you want to do it. And that's the nature of life, and that's how we learn to coexist with people. I don't always get along with my family, but they're my family and I love them. So how is it different with anybody else? How can you love your brothers and your sisters and your mothers and your aunts and your uncles even though they've done some fucked up shit? You still find a way, but you hold your partner to a whole nother degree of, that's not fair.
Mm.
That's not fair. That's not love. That's basically saying as long as you show up like this, you're gonna get all of me. But as soon as you show up in a way that I don't like, then I don't know. And that's why everybody's trying to control everybody else. You should be like this. You should be doing this. You should be. And I'm just like, I don't live in that world. I don't live in
You
that
see
world.
the comments. You go on social media, and if you see some celebrities and they break up, and you go in the comments, and everybody has their opinion on what she should have did and what he should have done, and it's just like, man.
Hmm. It's crazy. And and as someone who's on the internet, I observe. I never absorb those things, but I observe what goes on. And when someone dies, for instance, when someone dies, everybody just floods and wants to give their condolences. And to honestly, in the spiritual world, it's a very selfish act. It's not something that you're supposed to do because, truth be told, you are internalizing pain that is not yours.
Mm-hmm.
And you're bringing up something that is not your business to bring up. The best thing that you can do is give people space. Give them space so they can process alone. Let people process alone. Allow people to come to you sometimes. You don't always have to come in and swoop in and I want to be a good friend because now you're talking about you. You want to be a good, so it's not really about the friend then.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure that I'm a good person. What does that mean? What exactly are you saying? I'm just doing my duty as a friend. Okay. So what about the friend?
Yeah.
I'm not hearing anything about the friend in this. Where is the space for the friend? So when I have people in my life that I know where someone has passed away or they're not well or whatever, I listen to my intuition. And I don't like to bombard people. That's my choice. I don't like to bombard people. So I wait because it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. And when I saw the suicide, I reached out for help when I needed help. But for the most part, my friends and family they just gave me my space because
Yeah.
What if I'm having a good day and then someone calls and it's like, how are you feeling? And it's just like, I was feeling okay, but
Until you call.
until you called to try to help me. You know what I mean? So I think that you just have to decide for yourself and define for yourself who you are and not what you're concerned about what it looks like. And a lot of times people give their condolences because of what it looks like and not necessarily because of who they are. So,
And we do that because that's just what we were taught. That's what we
yeah,
were, you know, and we don't
exactly.
even know like the history of it, or we don't even know like the depths of what we're even saying.
No,
It's
you
just
just
the thing to say.
right. And I recognized a lot of times when I used to speak, like, are these really my thoughts? I don't think these are my thoughts. I'm just regurgitating things that I've read or been taught.
Yeah.
I don't even know actually if I have. So a lot of times I have to define these things for myself. What does it mean to care for you, Michelle Moore, as yourself? What does care and love look like to you? What does that mean to me? Because it's my life. I can only assess from me. I can't do what other people would do. So if I'm in a relationship, then this is how I love. If you don't like how I love, I'm not going to manipulate myself to love you the way. I can't do that. That's not
Mhm.
fair to me. So maybe I'm just not the person for you. I think we make things way more difficult than they have to be.
Absolutely.
We do. We really
Absolutely.
do. We really, really do. And it's
Yes.
unfortunate. It's unfortunate to see because from my side of it, in my world, I feel great. I do. I'm you know, I don't know what's going on in the world. I know what's going on in my world, and I adjust and I make do with whatever I have to. If you send me to jail, I'll make adjustments. This is my life now, I
Wait,
guess.
what? Jail? What we?
No, what I'm saying is,
We were talking about fighting somebody, jumping somebody. Now we're talking about throw me in jail. I don't know.
yeah, I feel that way. That's how you wonder how like people like um Nelson Mandela could go to jail and find such peace. It's because
Mm.
it's just like he allowed and accepted where he was. And so it wasn't it was I don't fight. I don't fight the I don't fight the present. And so if I don't fight the present, that means I'm accepting it. And it
Mhm.
only becomes the past when it's no longer the present anymore. And if I'm
Yeah.
looking towards the future, then I'm anxious.
Yeah.
So
I
I don't
saw
want to be.
something like that that said if we're focused on the past, that is regret.
Mhm.
If we're, oh man, I can't remember. Um, but it kind of gave a word for past, present, and future.
Well, you could use your own words. Just think about it.
Yeah.
Just think about what you feel when you think about the past. What is that for you? What does that feel like? And if you're not thinking about the past, then good.
A hell
But
of a time.
right, right, right. But if
Felt
you're
like no consequences back
right,
then.
but if you're thinking about the future, it could be worry,
Yeah.
and it could be and worry is anxiety, and all of
Hmm.
those things are fear.
Yeah.
It's just fear based.
Yeah.
And so if you're living from a place of fear, then you're never present.
Hmm.
So that's why I say Bob Marley says, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None
Hmm.
but ourselves can free our minds. That's literally like you could be in jail, but my mind is free. You can't have my mind. You could kill me. You could take my body. You could physically take my body, but my mind is still not yours.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so if you can live from that space, then the materialistic world means nothing. You fear nothing. I don't fear death at all. I don't fear it because When it's my time to go, it's my time to go, and I'll be
Gotcha.
dead. So there's really nothing for me to do,
Yeah.
right? So I think the focus should always be, how do I feel? So that's what I do, and I tell my clients the same. Check in with yourself on a daily basis, every hour. How are you feeling right now? Are you okay? If you feel your heart racing in an argument, check in with yourself before you start saying things. Are you okay? Do
Hmm.
you really look at it from a different perspective? Like, do I need to be, let me use some clarity. Let me use some awareness right now before I start just going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here it is. If you focus on the past, it's regret. If you focus on the future, it's anxiety. And if you think where you are now, you are staying present.
Yeah.
So there's a I always I used to say to my friend, she'd say, "Oh, I miss you," and I said, "No, you don't miss me. I do miss you." And I was like, "No, you miss who you are when you're with me,
Mm.
but you don't miss me. You don't need me. You just like who you are when I'm around." But in truth, we're all together. We're just one. Just you, and
You
it's
should
just
write a book on like quotes.
a book on quotes.
Yeah. Like your quotes.
I don't know. I didn't know I had quotes.
Yeah. Now you got quotables.
I'm just
Those
talking.
quotables.
maybe there's
Outside.
maybe there's some in the book about my life that I just wrote. I'm sure. I don't.
Because usually at the end of the pod, I would ask guests, all right, so is there a message? Is there a phrase that you have for our guests? But I'm not even going to ask you that because it's been gems all through the damn episode. So, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we need to have like a little buzzer, like a
Yeah.
quote that. I know. Tamika's always like, that needs to be on a shirt. She'll say that all the time. I've heard her say that to other people too. That we need to put that on a shirt. But
You got people that miss you. Oh,
oh, that's my aunt, my auntie Cheryl. She was actually
okay.
I was actually speaking with her on the phone the morning of the next day of the suicide. I was
Mm.
on the phone with her for an hour and I completely forgot. I didn't even tell her. We were just talking. And then I got off the phone. I went to open the shades and something was like, God was like, don't open them shades.
Mm.
I said, oh, wait, I think somebody's out there. And I called my friend, Megan. I called her on FaceTime and I said, listen, something horrific happened last night. I know it's going to sound funny, but I need you to tell me if there's a dead body on my balcony. And I was like, "Are you okay with?" Because she's all into that. So I said, "Are you okay with looking at that?" And she said, "Yeah, no, that's fine." And I stuck my hand out and I started scanning. And she said, "Wait, go down, move it to the right a little bit." And she's like, "Oh my God, yeah, someone's out there." And as soon as she said that, I was like, I went into shock. I went into shock, and it was a very surreal moment. LA is a very interesting place.
Yeah.
It's a very I know 2 other people that have been in situations like that in a span of, like, 3 years, and that's not normal, you know? So, LA is a very interesting place. I think it has an energy around it that's very, very it's interesting. It's very different.
Yeah. The last time, and this is kind of off topic, but quickly, the last time I went, I was walking to Whole Foods,
Mhm.
like in the downtown LA area, and there was, so right along the side wall of Whole Foods, they have the outside chairs and tables and
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
I know where you're talking about. Yeah, I've eaten lunch there before.
And
I
there
used to
was a
live close there.
guy with his pants down in his underwear. He had on black underwear. I don't know how I know he had on black underwear, but in any case, and he has his pants down and he's in his underwear, and he's just like gyrating and moving and just having a blast in his underwear. And I'm looking for the reaction of people, and no one's reacting. And I'm like, is this happening in like another dimension? Is this happening here?
It is. No,
And there's
that
a cop there, and like nobody.
you hit it. Is it happening in another dimension? It is not your dimension. Absolutely. I'm gonna use that. That needs to be on a shirt. Like seriously, a shirt that says "I'm happening in another dimension." Like, it might not be your perspective or your perception, but yeah, LA is definitely that. It's I've seen some things that just blew my mind, and you look around and everybody's just kind of like, I got in a really bad car accident over there and totaled my car, and it wasn't my fault. Isn't that always the first thing that people say when they get in a car? It wasn't my fault, but it really
It
wasn't.
ain't
And
my fault.
right, did I do that? And the woman that hit me, she was a little bit glazed over, and I called the cops, and it was a really bad accident right in the middle of a big intersection. And the dispatcher said, "Is there blood?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, we only come out there if there's blood." And I was like, "Okay." So she said, "Is she sober?" Well, I don't know. I just got in a car accident. Well, look in her car. Are there any empty alcohol bottles?
Okay.
Is this an ABC after school special about not drinking and driving, as if that's the only thing that she could be doing? As if people actually have unopened bottles, empty bottles? So I was like, "Ma'am, no." She said, "Okay, well, you guys are just gonna have to work it out." I couldn't believe it. And I ended up driving my totaled car home, dragging everything. It was horrific. It was horrific. That was, and then another time I saw someone throw 2 dogs out of their car, 2 puppies, and one got hit. It was just there was a lot of stuff. And then this
What?
yeah. And then the suicide was it. I was like, "All right, I hear you, guy. I'm
Oh, that
gonna
was the third
go."
strike.
Yes.
All right. Say less.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, "Loud and clear, I hear you. All right, I'm gonna go." On that note, I bid you all adieu. I'm
Yeah, this
going.
season is over.
Yes,
Had
yes,
fun, but
yes. I gotta go. I gotta go. This
mhm.
place is not, and I lived there for almost 2 years. And I had lived there before, and it was interesting as well, but this was a little bit longer, but it was just one thing after the other, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go with final answer, don't live in LA, Michelle."
Wow. I have
Mhm.
family over there too, but no one lives in LA.
I bet.
I live in California. I know tons of people who live in California.
I bet.
I
I
think only
bet.
one person I know lives in LA. Everybody else is like, nah.
And it's funny because I know I have a couple of friends who are actual LA natives, and they wanna leave. 2 of them
Mm,
have left because 'cause they're just like, "This is home, but I don't know what's going on." And it's just so filled. Everybody goes there with a dream and a goal, and it's kinda like that in New York as well.
mhm, mhm.
But the energy is just I don't know, it's like I feel like NYC is like a mental ward, so it's a little bit more fascinating because there's like a lot of different variations. LA is like, I don't know, it's like a mental ward, but like from the 50s. It's like it's like giving, I don't know if you ever watched American Horror Story, but I think season 2 was like the asylum, this insane asylum. LA is more of like an insane asylum, and New York City is like a mental ward, which is
Mm,
very two different things. I actually
mhm,
worked in a mental ward as a music therapist for a year, and it was very New York, even though it was in Florida. It was very much New York.
mm.
LA's got insanity, kind of delusions of grandeur, lots of like schizophrenia and that
It's
that kind
different
of,
over there.
yeah, personalities and different. You don't never really know who you're speaking to. I met you. I thought I met you on Friday, but It's Sunday and you a whole nother person. I don't know who you are. So it's kind of like that. But there was also a
Like
great vibe.
IG, like social media, where you like you meet somebody on social media and then you see them and you're like, okay.
Yes. LA is IG. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very interesting because I loved living there. I lived in London for a while as well, and I love London. But I the places that I've lived, I've always gained some perspective. So I
Mhm.
definitely did gain a lot in LA. But once I was done, the message was clear, and it was like, it's time for you to go.
I mean, a whole man like transitioned on
A
your
whole man.
balcony.
A whole
So
man.
I mean,
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what's so the interesting thing about it is I've never heard anything like that before. But when it happened, I knew exactly what it sounded like. And I was like, that was a person because my whole apartment shook. And you know what's so funny is the next day, my neighbor who lived way down on the end of the hallway, because we
Mhm.
shared like this long wall. So there was no one in between us. He was an older man and he said, "Oh yeah, I heard that. I heard that last night. That was by you." And I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Well, at least it didn't land on the sidewalk like the last one." And I was like, "Wait a minute, what do you mean?" He said, "Yeah, there was a young man, he about a couple of years ago, and there was someone else on the other side of the building." It was like
Oh, that
a
building carrying some different energy.
yes. And the detective said to me, uh, "Oh, it's we've done so well in the 14-mile radius. Remember, it's January 10th. In a 14-mile radius, by January 10th, they had already had 6 suicides." And he said, "Oh, that's pretty good for the year so far." Wow. Okay. So people come over here just off themselves?
Have you been to Vegas?
Yes, I have.
Have you lived in Vegas?
No, I didn't live in Vegas, but I've been there a couple of times, a few times actually.
I'm wondering if NYC is the mental ward, LA is the insane asylum. What the hell is Vegas? Because Vegas is different.
Vegas is different. But you know what's so funny? When you go outside of Vegas, it's not like that.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you're just in a particular zone, like that touristy area, like it's unique. But you know what? There's parts of Florida that are like that too. So can't really escape it, right? There's some everywhere you go. There's something everywhere you go. But I think it's just the gravity of it, like how much of it exists in a radius. Like it's a lot wherever you go. Las Vegas, I didn't ever walk out that much. I always found it strange that people were smoking in the airports. Oh, my mother said Vegas is the other dimension.
Hmm.
It was interesting. The last time I was in Vegas, I didn't go out. I literally just stayed in my hotel. I didn't really have any interest. There's a lot of buffets. I'm not really a buffet person. I don't like buffets.
Especially after COVID. Mm.
Even before, I didn't like the idea of being served food from like a trough. I didn't This seems a little weird to me. And I remember when I lived in Jersey, I would watch. I was in Jersey one time, and I watched a woman in the grocery store grabbing a piece of bread, and her winter coat was dragging all over the other pastries. And then she grabbed the bread and squeezed it, put it down, didn't want that one, squeezed another, and then another person came in after her, not seeing her, grabbed. I was like, "Oh
That's
God."
something that I would see. I am such a germaphobe,
Yeah.
and it's those sort of things that I would catch and be like, "Yeah, no, I'm going home to cook. I'm straight."
Right, right, absolutely, absolutely. I
I
don't know how.
remember, I remember, in the was it the pandemic? I think it might have been. in the 2020, in the beginning when it was getting kind of weird.
Yeah.
March, right? That like
Mhm.
that first or second week in March where some places were closing, but you weren't sure.
Mhm.
And I went to the farmers market.
Mhm.
I figured, well, let me get some real food over here. And I went to the farmers market, and I think they closed like a week later for
Uh-huh.
like a while.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy, and he picked up, I can't even remember what the fruit was. Oh yeah. Oh, it was a staff member, a guy who worked there,
Uh-huh.
and it was the avocado,
Uh-huh.
and he was stacking the avocado while sneezing.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah, he was just sneezing like 3, 4 times, not covering it, just sneezing on the avocado as he's stacking the avocado. I was like, wow,
You know what's so
wow.
funny? I I appreciate people like that. I mean, um, I can appreciate anyone, but I appreciate people like that because they don't give a shit. They just be
She said, makes for great great guacamole.
I just you know what's so funny? Anytime I see like documentaries where someone has like kind of conned people or I'm always rooting for the person who's doing the conning because I'm like, you know what? They're winning at life because they're getting what they can get. And it's like, well, that's mean and it's horrible. Is it? I wouldn't get conned like that because no one's looking, everybody's absolving the other person who is the victim to being responsible in making the decision in choosing this person and not noticing all the signs because the signs were there. And so
Mm,
that's why I tell people all the time, like, oh, this person did this. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You cannot absolve yourself of all accountability because you were a part of this as well. So what did you not see? You're telling me just like that, this person became this way. They didn't. There were signs, and you didn't see it. And you know why you didn't see it? Because you built this fantasy of what you thought it was going to be, and so you were only looking through that filter.
mm,
And then when you're awakened to it, you're like, oh, I was the victim this whole time.
mm,
Really? I don't feel
mm,
sorry for you.
mm.
So I see a lot of documentaries where people say things like, "I just didn't know, and he took advantage of me, and they took $250,000 of my money, and no one warned me." So someone else has to warn you about protecting yourself, about how to save yourself.
Hmm.
You don't want to take any accountability that you have. You don't trust your intuition. You don't even listen to your intuition. You don't even acknowledge your intuition. Your intuition is dormant.
Well, don't make time for that. Mm-mm.
I take issue with that. That's what I take issue with. I take issue with that from a place of from observing. So everyone's a victim. If you're a victim, then you don't have to look at yourself. Sneeze guy was one of those people who doesn't use hand soap because it'll kill all the good bacteria. Y'all are a mess.
Have you seen that? I think it was a meme or a video where it says how how black people shop,
No, I
and
haven't
then it
seen it.
had it showed a grocery store and a shelf, and the black person would choose the item all the way in the back.
Yeah.
Like, no, everybody done touched up all this stuff in the front.
I'm like that when I get fruit that's cut up. That's when they cut it up and it's all set up for you to eat. I always pick the ones in the back because, they move the old ones to the front.
Mm,
So when you can look at the watermelon, the ones in the back look real red and juicy, and then the ones up front look like so I always like slide out do that with the fruit.
I'm real particular when I grab items, especially like produce.
Mhm.
I'm there for a while.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
I like
yeah.
follow my heart. And
Yes.
all that. I don't just grab and put in the cart like,
No.
no, we ain't doing that.
This is listen,
Hmm.
intuition comes in play in every aspect of your life, from the way that you dress, from the way like I said, you listen to your body. I had an ear situation um in 2020 where my ear just went out. It went muffled. I don't know what happened. My jaw hurt, everything went and I thought it was low iron. I didn't know what it was. I was in so much pain and I went to an ENT. I went to two ENTs, an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and they both said, "Oh, your ears are fine." And I was like, "Nope." And they said, "Oh, well, we're going to give you some antibiotics, and take this if you have an infection." I don't have an infection. I was like, "But something's off. I know something is off. I don't feel right. Nothing's wrong here. We don't see anything wrong here with your ear. Maybe you should do an allergy test." I was like, "Nah, I'm not." So then you have to advocate for yourself, right? So then I started doing research and I was reading medical journals and I found out about the jaw and how it's connected to the ear. So I found a neuromuscular dentist. And when I went to see the dentist, he showed me a he's a holistic dentist. So he showed me a study that they did on a rat. And so they put two um like obstructed the rat's bite on either side for 1 month, and the rat got scoliosis. And then when they took the obstruction out and 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 healed it back, his spine became straight again. So I started to realize that all the healing, everything that goes on in our bodies starts with the mouth. And that makes sense because that's where we eat, that's where we inhale things. All of our health starts from the mouth and then it goes into the gut. So turns out the reason why my ear was funky was because my bite slipped out of place. And so when my bite slipped out of place, it affected my ear, which affected my head. So in my practice, I started expanding my practice so I can understand the body from a physical standpoint, not just energetically. And I realized that usually when you're diagnosed, they're diagnosing the symptom and not the source.
Mhm.
So if your knee hurts, it's probably not your knee. It's probably your hip. Do you know what I mean? And it's radiating in your knee. So that was what was happening. So I went to right now I wear a Visalign. That was 1 whole year of me trying to figure it out. Finally figured it out. It took a whole nother year for my bite to go back, and I had to go back through the pain, but this time it was less painful. And now my ears popped back open. Now, had the ENTs tell it, I was fine.
Yeah.
And I realized how many people just accept someone else telling them what's going on with them
Every day.
every day, not just physically but emotionally. And
Mhm.
my thing is that, like, this is what I'm saying. We are powerful. We can heal ourselves, but you have to be in tune with the body. You have to be in tune with the self, with your mind, your body, and your soul. You have to be in tune. How you get there is to let go of the control.
Mm.
It's that simple, but you have to unlearn how to do that because we've been programmed and trained to diagnose, assess, and dictate every little thing that we do in comparison to what society believes is right or wrong. And that I had to let that go.
Yeah.
Because if I was going to listen to the doctor, I'd still be on some stupid medication thinking nothing. Well, the doctor said that that's what I should do, so I'm going to do that. And believe it or not, most of the doctors in Western medicine, and there's reason for Western medicine, absolutely, but most of them don't know anything about the body and the nervous system and how it correlates with your spine and with your heart and with the energy. Energy is very, very healing. It's very, very healing. Sound healing, binaural beats, those are very healing. Things like that. When you have chronic issues, playing certain sounds, frequencies, it is helps relieve a lot of the pain. And so I've started expanding into that. And you're right. When I cook, I don't use recipes. My intuition, I trust. I'm like, oh, someone over there got me. Just anybody who was born in the islands, raised from people in the islands, you don't measure nothing. You just that tastes right. That's good. That looks good. Mix, mix, mix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying. I want to expand that, especially in here in Florida. While I'm here is I want to do a little bit more, help people with like sound therapy, and because I'm a singer, so I understand how sound, which frequencies help the body, and I'm learning about reflexology and
Hmm.
fascial and all that stuff, and the lactic acid flow, and I've been practicing all of those things on myself, and getting rid of certain tightness in my face. So, because we're not meant to have saggy skin, and it's just because we're not releasing all of the stagnant energies and flowing those things to, we don't touch ourselves enough.
Mm.
We don't. I mean, you think about it, where people masturbate and they bathe. That's it.
Oh man,
And you should be touching yourself. Your hands are healing. When you do this, the inside of your body, you're moving the lactic acid in your
that should be on
body.
a shirt. People just masturbate and bathe. That's not touching yourself. Michelle Quotables, trying to tell you.
Oh goodness gracious. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. Tamiko's finding this hilarious, I'm sure.
I'm sure she's been laughing the entire time. Um, this podcast, this episode rather, has gone nothing like I had planned. But I
Oh
should have
no.
knew that. No,
That's
but I should
good.
have known from the
Never
beginning.
plan. What was
I
your
should have known.
plan?
Oh, I had a outline of some
Oh,
sort and a whole direction.
that's
Um,
sweet.
but but those who have watched these 84 episodes, or even if you've seen 10 episodes, you know that certain times there are certain guests that I'm not so rigid where it's like, no, it has to stay with this formula. There are certain guests that I just allow because I feel like it's necessary. So who am I to no, this is how it's supposed to go every single week because why? For what?
So you are capable of going with the flow.
Oh yeah. I'm totally a free spirit. I don't like rules. I love to rebel. I'm a rebel with a cause.
Define rules.
Rules are rules are annoying. That's not defining rules, but my view on rules is they're cumbersome.
Right, but in your world, there's no such thing.
No.
So then you don't need to define it.
Yeah.
It's not a word. There's no, for me, expert, professional. That's not a word in my vocabulary. I don't believe in those words,
Mm.
because they're set up for us to believe that we should solely look to these people for the answers, and they have the answers. And I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, listen, I don't want to be here forever. I want you to go on without me. I don't want to take your money for years and years and years while you figure this out. I
Right.
want you to, I don't want to be a part of this. You know what I'm saying? I want to help you as much as I can help you, and then go fly away, fly, 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 and allow yourself to redefine yourself and
Mhm.
make up your own, and some people will look at me and say, oh well, you don't have a degree in this, and you don't have, so you're not a professional and you're not an expert. Says who? Go ask the many many people that I've helped.
Mhm.
That And even if I didn't, I helped myself. So I got a PhD in me and you don't. So that's what I do know. And I
Yeah.
and I think that if for you, you don't have to look at rules. Rules are what? What's rules? I like that for you. I think that's a great movement for 2023. Just like I don't use the word rules anymore. That's just not in my vocabulary. Just start taking things out that don't fit for you
Mm.
and move that way and then see what starts happening. What starts bringing, because what you start doing is you start speaking to God, you start speaking to the universe in a way that's saying, listen, I'm not making any room for this. I'm only making room for this. So my focus is only on the things that I desire. Well, what about these things? They don't exist because I don't desire them. So it's not even, I don't even look that way. So I can't, when someone says to me, how do I not give a fuck? It's like you don't give a fuck. I do care, but I only care about things that I care about. Things that don't mean anything to me have no meaning. So they don't exist. So when someone doesn't like me, for instance, well, that person doesn't like you. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Do I care to know? Ask me if I care to know what that means. I don't. I focus on the people who do know, respect, love, honor me and themselves. So this person is a nothing to me. I wish them well and on their journey. And most of the time people come back and they apologize for misunderstanding me because I show up in love all the time. I don't like the way you do this. I've had someone literally say to me, "Oh, I don't think we should be friends because you're this, this, and this." And I say, "You know what? You're right. You should not be friends with somebody like that." And then it's a shock to the system because the expectation is I'm going to try to prove to you
Yeah.
that I should be your friend. No, you're right. You see something that's not going right for you in your life, you should remove it, even if it's me.
Mm.
So I think
That's another
that
quotable. I'm gonna write down your quotables for you, right? And you can do what you, yeah. So me and so me and Tamiko here, yeah, we gonna create something.
okay,
Mhm.
just make sure I get a cut.
Yeah, I mean it's yours.
Oh, okay. You guys are gonna do all the work?
No, no, no. We're not gonna
Oh.
do all the work. I don't even got time for my own work. We just gonna write down the one that you said tonight. Gotcha.
Okay. Okay. All right. I look forward to hearing more about the new job too at a later time about what you're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
right
yeah,
now. That
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
interesting. I like that
I'm
for you.
keeping it on the wraps. I haven't posted anything. I don't feel it's time.
Mhm.
So I'm just learning what I need to learn and
Mhm.
enjoying this journey here.
Yeah, that's good. That's amazing. And it's very
And
exciting.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
It
That's
absolutely is.
it's a new chapter for
Uh,
something amazing to kind of
yeah.
unfold.
Yeah.
That's always exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Life is exciting.
Hell yeah. It's
Life is very exciting.
unpredictable.
And if your life is not exciting,
It's you. You're the problem.
you and listen to episode 84 of the Blaze Align podcast.
Absolutely. I enjoyed myself. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. In closing, pseudo closing, but in closing, is there anything you want to drop on the nation, on the audience? Heavy or light?
Just keep loving yourself and remember that you are loved and you are loved. Take care of yourselves. Be for yourselves. Stay with yourselves. Embody yourselves. Idolize only yourself.
Mm.
It's just all about you, and go be and do the very things that move you and console you and even challenge you. I do have my book coming out soon. It's called Blew My Mind, and I'm working on a new album. So I don't know when those things are coming out, but I'm working, and as soon as they do come out, I will make sure You guys are the first to know. Okay, well, I think he froze again. So I'm going to go ahead and close off because it seems like I'm alone again. And I think this thing is very delayed. It's my show now. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, I'm kidding. I'm taking over. That was the kicker for the end of the show. It is now the Mishal, what is it? The Mishal Lioness podcast. No, I think he really froze. So, all right, guys. I'm gonna go, but thank you for having me, and thank you for speaking and chatting with one another. And I'm gonna shut up now. How do I sign off this thing? Okay, bye.
Hey, I'm still on. No? Okay, and my hair is a mess out here. I don't know if this thing is still recorded, but in any case, all right. Before things get worse, this was the Blaze the Line podcast. As I've been saying from 2022 and 2021, peace and love. Cheers. Keep it to record. Hey, I'm back again. Miss me? Okay. This was the Blaze the Line podcast. Deuces. Walk in righteousness. And yes. All right. Let's try this again.